Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Matt Loteplo, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Collective Mining Limited. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you are interested in meeting with Collective Mining Limited, please click on the Schedule Meetings tab found in the platform navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Ari Sussman, Executive Chairman of the Board of Collective Mining Limited, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol CNLMF and on the TSXV under the symbol CNL. Welcome, Ari.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Matt. And hello, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. Before I begin, I'm just going to go through standard disclaimers. We will be making forward-looking statements, so please be prepared for as such, and we cannot be held accountable for any such statements. Now, moving in, before we go into talk about collective mining and its outstanding project, Guayabalas, which is named Guayabalas in Colombia, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. So, company has a very tight share structure with approximately 60 million shares outstanding. As you will note from the pie chart, management plus insiders control approximately 46% of those shares, and we are well cashed up with having recently closed a financing in late March of 2023, and as a result have approximately $28 million in our treasury had at that point. So what does that mean? We've got money to be very aggressive with drilling, and as I'm going to show you in a minute, that is exactly what we are doing. Without going into too much detail on the people, we've got a board of directors, which I lead as executive chairman, that represents the company very strongly. Maria Constanza is our Colombian representative, well known in the mining circle in Colombia, being the original founding president of the division of the government in charge of titling for mining concessions. Ken Thomas on our board is a very well-known mine builder, was one of the original engineers of Barrick Gold, believe it or not, when it was called American Barrick in the 1980s, and was part of the team that built the Gold Strike mine. Paul Murphy is the current chairman of Alamos Gold, which has been a very darling gold producer for the last 2 years, and he heads our audit committee chair. And Ashwath Mehra was believe it or not, one of the founders of Glencore way back when, and more recently founded a company called GT Gold, which was ultimately sold to Newmont for about $300 million. So good mix of people. We will look to expand this board as time progresses and as we continue to grow. We're in an excellent mining jurisdiction in Colombia. So first of all, Colombia as a jurisdiction, you can see, has lots of mines, and dominated by coal primarily. It's one of the world's larger coal producers. But if you look at these list of mines, top three, these are big open pit mines. South 32 operates Cerro Matoso. That is the world's fifth largest nickel mine. That falls directly behind two mines in Russia and two mines in the Philippines in terms of its ranking of production. Cerrejón, owned by Glencore 100% now, is the largest open pit coal mine in the world. Drummond operates a huge operation. As far as gold projects go, the largest gold mine in the country is the one that we built, meaning our prior company, which was named Continental Gold, and that is the Buritica mine, which is producing roughly 300,000 ounces a year, followed then by RS Mining with both Segovia and Marmato. I do want to highlight Marmato. You'll see it on the map, and you will note it because a red star is next to it, which is the location of our two projects, Guayabalas and San Antonio. Important because we share the same geology, the same geological signature, and we will go into that very shortly. Last thing, where are we in Colombia? We're in Caldas. Okay, so this is a department which I'm sure many of you have never heard of unless you've seen our presentation before, but is very well known if you're in the coffee business. It's reputed to have the best beans in the world. As far as a mining destination, you really couldn't pick a better location for a few reasons. Number one, security. I mean, this is the one department, that is what Colombia calls states or provinces, they call them departments, that has no evidence of any nefarious actors. Okay, so there's no ELN, there's no XFARC or anything related to that in this department. It's the safest place you can be. Secondly, it's got an immensely high education rate. It's got an odd amount of universities per capita for such a small department of only about 1 million people. Thirdly, the economy is dominated by outdoor industrials and agricultural activities. And fourthly, and probably most importantly, Marmotto, which is next door to our projects, has been in continuous production for something around 500 years. So if you are born and from Caldas and have lineage here, there is mining in your lineage. As a result, it's a very mining friendly jurisdiction. So let's zoom in now to our map. So there are our two projects. We're going to talk today only about Guayabalis. That is the flagship asset, but San Antonio should not be forgotten. You will note they are very close to each other. If you look at that scale bar, there's approximately 2 kilometers or less than 2 miles that separate them as the crow flies from edge to edge. Importantly, as you will note, we are on trend from our motto. The trend of mineralization starts in the southeast and goes to the northwest. If you look at that map down the center of the page, you will see the Pan American Highway dissecting it almost from the north to the south in a squiggly line. What does that mean for us? It means we have excellent access to this project. So obviously we have road access from a highway, but which is only about 2.5 kilometers to our targets. As the crow flies again. But more importantly, what you don't see on this map is abutting that highway is high voltage hydropower. Okay, so we are 2.9 kilometers from green energy. Colombia is almost unique in that regard in South America, where virtually 100% of its power is generated by hydro, and so it's reliable and it's right at our project. Lastly, there's population in around here, so we have labor. So we've got an area that is pro mining. We have hydro, we have roads. We're not in high elevation. And so when you think about a potential development scenario for this project in the future, infrastructure is a big check mark, which is a big plus for this project. We're sitting next to Marmotto. As I mentioned, if you look at the second bullet point, it's a big system. I mean, Marmotto has almost 9 million ounces of measured, indicated, plus inferred resources at roughly 3 grams per ton. They have reserves at about 3 million ounces at around the same grade. And that is a mine that is currently producing at a small scale and will start construction later this year to build a mine that will produce at 165,000 ounces a year, according to a feasibility study. So excellent location in all respects. We're lucky to have found this. And now let's zoom in to the Guayabalis, the area of interest at Guayabalis, where we're finding all the exciting mineralization and why you are here to hear this presentation. Okay, there it is. So what you're looking at is the gray area is where the Marmotto mine is, but you'll see all those mining symbols on the page. There are in total 10 operating permitted mines under Colombian law, sitting in about a 2 mile-ish or 3 kilometer radius of our targets. So very mining friendly, another point iterating it. The blue jelly bean is the area of our project that we have explored. And what that jelly bean outlines is a molybdenum and soil anomaly. Why are we looking for molybdenum when our main deposits are either copper, gold, silver rich, or just gold, silver rich? It's because molybdenum is heavy and it doesn't leach. So heavy meaning we're in mountainous topography with historical landslides, volcanic ash. Where the moly is found is where it came from. It's not mobilized from somewhere else. Secondly, Colombia, as you know, is on the equator and it's in a very heavy weathering environment, and this doesn't leach, so it sticks around. So that is our best pathfinder, and that is a 5 part per million moly in soil anomaly, and that is, what does that outline? A porphyry cluster. Okay, so this is a porphyry district that we are looking at. The Marmotto mine itself is a late stage porphyry vein system with a reduced porphyry below. And you look at our targets, all of them are labeled there. There are 7. Of the 7, we drilled 5. Okay, and of the 5, we've made discovery and varying significance on 4. The discoveries are colored in orange. Okay, and obviously Apollo is the flagship. That's why it's bolded. But if you and the one we missed has an X through it. So, but when you think about remarkable geology, none of this has ever seen drilling before or almost no work before us. And here we come in with the rig and we make significant discovery on 4 or 5 targets. Mother Nature likes this area and blessed us, and it's our job to uncover any more blessings that Mother Nature might have provided in this area. Let's go on. So, how was this found? Good old-fashioned soil sampling. What you're looking at in this picture is a bird's eye view, so we're looking down. The blue, darker blue outline is the shape of the Apollo porphyry system or the Apollo porphyry discovery. You will note, for fun, it looks like Africa. We get teased a lot about that we found Africa in South America, so be it. Light blue below is moly in soil anomalies, and orange is copper in soil anomaly. It worked for us in discovering this porphyry system. So, we drilled soil anomaly, and look what we found. This is a new system. You'll notice from the top bullet point, there's only about 19,000 meters of drilling completed to date with assays in hand into the Apollo porphyry discovery. So this is new. Lots of work to do and lots of upside. We have 3 rigs turning currently. We will grow to 4 very shortly, and ultimately we'll grow to 5. What we are drilling is a breccia within a porphyry. Why do we like that? Because of its immense porosity, right? It provides for better grades than the porphyry host rock. This is not something unique and uncommon in porphyry systems. If you look at the bottom point, there's some gigantic porphyry systems hosted predominantly the breccia. Anglo Los Bronces is more than 3 billion tons. NGEX, which has been a topical company of late with Los Helados, their resource is more than 2 billion tons, and obviously Filo Mining as well with their Breccia 41 discovery, which really shot the stock up like a rocket. That's an intermineral breccia within a porphyry. So exciting stuff. And now let's look at really what we're here for, which is the grades. So this porphyry is set apart from our peer group in this regard. We report in gold equivalent, as you will note on this slide. Why do we do that when this is a gold, silver, copper system? Well, it just happens to be that here, gold makes up about 50% of the metal matrix, with silver and copper being at about 25% each. So we report in gold equivalent because it's our dominant metal. These are remarkable grades. Why do we have this here? Well, because we have a soup mix, so to speak, or a salad bowl. And in the salad bowl, there are 3 different plumbing systems that have dumped metal into the system. There is the porphyry itself, okay, which has impregnated the breccia. That is responsible for depositing virtually all of the copper, oddly enough, quite a bit of the silver, and just a little bit of the gold. The porphyry itself, the gold grade looks to be maybe 0.2 to 0.3 of a gram only of gold. But then we have 2 styles of porphyry veins. So these are deep-seated, what we call CBM veins that overprint the system. And they're really driving the gold grades quite a bit. And as a result of those 3 types of mineralized systems being mixed together in a salad bowl, we get these very high grades. Most importantly, this deposit comes to surface. Okay, the light blue on the bottom third of the outline of the system is where it daylights. That's the known dimensions to date. And then it's plunging as it goes to the north, at an angle which more drilling is required to determine. But, remarkable intercepts, many of them starting right at surface. And let's now look at that in-surface portion to see what's exciting about it. So there it is. Okay, so regular red indicates drill holes that have been announced all in 2023 that have hit mineralization right from surface. And darker red are drill holes that are in the queue for assaying. For those that follow our story, they will note that we've been reporting assay results every 2 to 3 weeks consistently. We have remarkable lab turnaround, and we expect that will continue throughout the balance of 2023 and hopefully into next year. Looking at these holes, what makes them spectacular? So first of all, in this slide, we give you the mineral matrix. You can see the breakdown of the gold, silver, and copper. Highly unusual high silver grades for a porphyry system. Pretty remarkable when you look at those numbers. But what else makes it great, especially the at surface portion? And that is that we have an oxide blanket, which ranges from 20 meters to up to 50 meters thick. Okay, if you look at the third hole from the top left, on the left-hand side, you see that 359 meters at 3.32 grams equivalent includes 35 meters at roughly 8 grams equivalent. That is in oxides. Why do we like oxides? Very cheap to process, very simple to process, very easy to mine, meaning we'll be able to pull a lot of ounces very quickly in the early part of the mine life, and then we will process them quickly, and that will go a long way to helping pay back whatever the CapEx figure is going to be here. And the nice thing about the oxide part is that the grade has been upgraded. So very high grades. If you look at the top right two assays, the including, you see 33 meters at almost 5 grams. And most recent assay, you see 104.8 meters at 5.56 grams equivalent, including 44.5 meters at almost 7 grams equivalent. That's oxide. So this is really remarkable stuff. And we look forward to reporting next assays. You'll see 44 and 46 coming shortly, followed by 44, 47, and 48 shortly thereafter. We're currently drilling holes 56 and 57 and drilling from pads 9 and 10, as you can see on this map. Next slide. So there are the current dimensions of the system, okay? 385 by 395 by 915 meters vertical. Will it get bigger? Yes, it will. How do we know this? Because in 2022, we drilled 3 deep holes. You can see them on here, APC 17, APC 22, and then in a completely orthogonal direction, APC 28. All 3 of those holes bottomed in mineralization. Why did we stop those drill holes? Because we didn't have big capacity rigs and the drills ran out of power to continue past where those holes ended. We've upgraded our drill fleet for 2023. We are now able to drill 1.5 kilometers or about 1 mile, in length, according to the drilling company. And so we will look to extend the system. We are currently drilling a hole, which is not labeled on here, from pad 6 to the northeast, so just east of 22. That hole is off the edge of the system and still invisible mineralization. So assuming the assays corroborate what we're seeing visually, we will have extended the system once we get those assays in a few weeks' time. Lastly, what else might exist here? This is a pretty new information for us. So we put out a press release about 2 weeks ago announcing new targets, okay? We generated 6 targets. You might be asking yourself or saying, wow, those targets look pretty small. Why would you highlight them? Well, that's because the area has a lot of historic landslide and volcanic ash cover, meaning there's almost no outcrop anywhere. Those targets, 5 of the 6 of them, were generated by bringing in drill tracks to bring drills and supplies in, where we then inadvertently exposed rock and were able to sample both in terms of soil sampling and rock sampling. And so those little windows, which are little, are important. Now, why do I say that? Because the Apollo porphyry system started as a little 10-meter in diameter window of outcrop only, and we were brave enough to drill it and look at what it's grown into. I cannot guarantee we're going to make discovery on one or any of these, but we are optimistic that we will make another discovery, and these windows are important. Each one of these areas with outcropping mineralization has a very similar geochemical signature to what Apollo looked like before it was drilled. And so we're quite excited to drill those. The 4th rig will be arriving to site imminently, so within 30 days, and it will start turning shortly thereafter. I mentioned earlier that we're not a one-trick pony, meaning we have made 4 discoveries, Apollo being the flagship. So let's look at the other ones very briefly before we open it up to Q&A. So Donut, that was our initial discovery. What does that look like? That looks like a small gold system. We put 11 holes into it, highlighted by 163 meters at 1.33 grams gold equivalent. That's gold plus silver. That starts right at surface. It will probably make a nice small little satellite, target for someone to mine in the future as part of a larger operation. And let's leave that for now. Trap Victory, we only have 3 early stage reconnaissance holes into Trap, highlighted by 102 meters at 1.5 grams equivalent. That is gold, silver, plus some copper. The Victory complex is very big in scale. We have outlined 3 porphyry intrusion centers characterized by abundance of fairly thick magnetite, gold-rich veins, as well as disseminated and chalcopyrite veins in the area. That work will continue this year. That will be drilled probably next year. And then lastly, Olympus. That is our 2nd flagship discovery. I'm going to go to the next slide and just show you that in more detail. So there's the drilling into Olympus to date. So some big bulk intercepts. kind of hovering around, looks about be about 1.1 grams per ton on average if you do a weighted average of those holes. From pad one, we know it comes right to surface or at least below the soil profile. So very close to surface. And then we drilled some underground, a couple underground holes, as you can see on this map, including 55 meters of 1.91 grams per ton equivalent. That was drilled at nearly a true angle to the strike of the system. So this one has legs too. This is something we're gonna focus on and get drilling, later this year and into next year. Um, Lastly, so here's the catalyst. So look, we're a drill company, guys. I mean, and ladies, that is the focus of the company. We're not at the resource definition stage yet. This discovery at Apollo was only made in late June of 2022, so it is less than 1 year old. It is early days. We could potentially see a resource in 2024, but this is a year of discovery. So this is about finding the best parts of Apollo where the highest grades are. This is about expanding Apollo, both in the at surface mineralization and at depth, and about drilling targets satellite to Apollo within the target area, as well as testing some other targets on the property. With that said, I am going to open it up to questions, and let me take them in order. First question: what are your drilling costs per meter? So drilling costs per meter are quite robust at around $250 per meter all in. When I say all in, that includes assaying and support required around drilling. Very competitive in Colombia in that way. We will start some deviation drilling this year that will increase the cost, to maybe $300 a meter, but the trade-off being that we will cut down significantly on the number of meters required. Meaning deviation drilling means you drill a long initial hole and then you deviate off it with shorter holes. Question two: have you done any metallurgical work yet? Yes, we have. We've done preliminary bottle roll test work, which was really focused to ensure that our gold is free and not refractory. We can check that box. All three of the tests, which were composites representing the deposit as we knew it at the time of the test work best we could, all of them showed free gold with well over 90% recovery rates. Next question: do you think Apollo could potentially connect with Olympus? Are you expecting a lot more copper at depth? Good question. First part of that question: look, Apollo is trending at depth towards Olympus. Will it continue under Olympus? I don't know, but that's where the trend is going. Um, could there be a porphyry below Olympus, just like we see at Marmato? Absolutely, that's possible. And those are things that we need to test. And with the directional drilling and with pads that we're going to build throughout this year, we will start to move in that direction to see if that's true. Are you expecting a lot more copper at depth? I don't know. Let's see what the drilling shows. I mean, look, we think there's a plunge to the copper, more to the northeast, but relatively shallow. We're starting to test that now with hole 55. Let's see what comes back with that. But I do think that's possible. Yes, and more work. Next question: how often do you expect assay turnarounds? Assay result turnaround every 2 to 3 weeks. We've been consistent with that, as I mentioned, and we will, unless something changes with the laboratories in terms of slowdown, we expect that will continue status quo throughout the year. Next question. Uh, can you speak of your milestones to end the year and capital position to support these initiatives? So we have 28 million US dollars in the bank, so we're very well funded. Look, I don't know what we'll drill this year. We're hoping, well, no, we'll drill 30,000 meters. We're hoping to do more. It's going to depend on rig productivity and availability, and we will end the year in a healthy cash position. We have more than 7 million Canadian dollars in warrants with a strike price of $3.25 that expire, I think it's May of 2024. So they're well in the money, and we would expect those to come in as well. Next question: can you comment on the politics in Colombia? Absolutely. So, as viewers probably know, Colombia elected its first left-leaning president in its history, and with that came a lot of angst. But the angst has been more focused on the decarbonization plan of the country, so that's been focused more towards oil and gas and coal. Mining, we've seen so far, only positive outcomes. We've seen the Cerro Matoso nickel mine be granted a 15-year mining license extension by this government. Didn't need to happen because their current license doesn't expire until 2029. So now tack 15 years onto that. We've seen our neighbor, RS Mining at the Marmato mine, be granted the amendment to their mining license to construct a much larger mine. That took place in November of 2022. We've seen a junior, I believe it's pronounced Oxico, if I'm pronouncing it right, that's listed in Canada, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, be granted both its mining and environmental license to construct a mine for rare earths in the far east, eastern part of Colombia. We've seen the contribution of mining to GDP grow to a record level in 2022. And lastly, the government should be publishing its national development plan for the remainder of its term sometime this month in May. And the draft, as it stands right now, has an entire section dedicated to critical mineral mining and the importance of it. And interestingly enough, included in that is gold. So their support for gold is there, along with obviously silver's in there, and then all the other minerals you would expect. Next question. Can you get back into the existing hole and lengthen with bigger rigs? No, we won't do that, but we will be doing that with the deviation drilling. So we drill a long mother hole, as they call it, then drill daughter holes off of it, and that will get us to greater depths. Next question. Can you provide some detail on the mine you have to option to acquire, size, condition? Look, I can't answer that question. We're going to own 100%. So if you're asking me if the option agreement, yes. For Guayabalas, we have about $3.6 million of payments scattered between now and the end of 2028. And then we owe some bullet payments related to production between 2029 and 2031. With regards to our San Antonio project, we owe around $3 million between now and 2027. Next question. It's amazing that this comes directly to surface. Why did you not drill the near surface stuff first? Well, because we didn't know where it was. That's the simple answer. You may remember I said earlier that there's very little outcrop here. So it just by accident we happened to discover the system at a deeper point, and through drilling we worked out its geometry and we're able to trace it where it comes to surface. That is the challenge we face, but we've done a good job of it. And keep in mind, this is we're going into the 11th month, or it's been 10 months since the discovery, so it's early days. I think that wraps up all the questions. So with that, I thank you very much. I thank everyone for participating in this conference and giving us an opportunity. I thank you for your support. And as a reminder, we trade on the TSX Venture under the symbol CNL and on the OTCQX under the symbol CNLMF. If anyone would like to follow up with the company, please feel free to send an email to info@collectivemining.com. And with that, the conference is over. Thank you for